Hey folks, welcome back to Don't Be Bashful. Today we're going to be talking about how we can implement something of a strict mode in Bash. As you guys know, Bash is an incredibly forgiving language. You can do all sorts of incredibly stupid things in Bash, including, but not limited to, wiping your entire file system. Bash will be happy to oblige if you instruct it to do this. Similarly, when you run scripts, Bash is happy to try and invoke things, even if you haven't defined a variable that you're referencing, or if you're piping a bunch of commands and one of those commands has failed, Bash is more than happy to continue piping all of these commands, potentially incurring heavy computational costs on your system. And thus, we're going to discuss one of my favorite tricks for Bash, implementing something of an unofficial strict mode. We can go ahead and start with the succinct version of strict mode, and then I'm going to walk you through each line and explain what it's doing. So here we have our strict mode line, and we'll have it at the top of our script. And let's go ahead and jump through each option we're setting and explain what it does. Now first we have the set-e flag. This instructs Bash to immediately exit if any command has a non-zero exit status. You probably don't want to set this if you're running in a command line shell, but if you're doing this in a script, this can be incredibly helpful. Now note that by default, Bash does not do this. Bash is not going to return from a script if a command has a non-zero exit code. As aforementioned, Bash is more than happy to continue executing your script and incurring heavy computations and possibly screwing many things up in that previous command failed. This is incredibly misleading in Bash scripts, where if you have a script where every single command returns a non-zero exit code, you could get to that last line, and if it returns a successful zero exit code, well, that's going to be the return code from your actual script, and it's going to look ostensibly like your script was successful, when in fact it was just the last line that was successful, but every preceding line of code caused some sort of error. So that's what set-e is going to give you. Let's move on to set-u. When you set this option, a reference to any variable that you haven't previously defined in your Bash script is going to cause the program to exit immediately. This is more in line with other programming languages, where if you're referencing a variable that hasn't been declared or defined, your program's probably going to throw an exception and stop executing. Finally, we have the set-o pipe fill option. This setting is going to prevent errors in a pipe from being masked by other commands. In Bash, by default, a pipeline's return code is that of the last command. You could have the first three commands completely fail and the last one is okay, and then you get a successful return code. This is really bad for obvious reasons. So that, folks, is a very quick and easy strict mode that you can implement in Bash to make your scripts a bit safer.